Soul Simmers, welcome to the Builders Bootcamp, your ultimate training ground for learning how to build in The Sims. Whether you're a beginner or someone who's looking to level up their skills, this series will take you from the beginner tips to the pro level builds. This is the 2025 updated edition of the series that I did in 2022, since we've had quite a couple of build updates in The Sims, and it will cover everything that you need to know to create your dream builds in the game. So grab your blueprints and let's get to building. Episode 13 of the Builders Bootcamp will be all about mods for builders. This is the final episode in this series, and it hopefully takes your building to the final next step of you feeling confident of not only making a house, decorating a house, landscaping a house, but also enjoying the process and enhancing that process with mods. On the list today, I have 5 mods that I can highly recommend for builders, so let's hop into the game so that I can show you the first and by far my favorite one. So the first mod that I want to show you guys today is the Better Build By mod by Rosannatxt. And you might have heard me rave about this before, but literally Better Build By makes the build by so much better. It does the name honor. There are so many features in this mod, so I'm gonna try to walk you through my favorite ones, but I believe that I might not even know all the features of this mod. So if you're really interested, make sure to actually read Rosannatxt's own post about what is all included in this mod. The biggest, most important feature for me is that it actually sorts the debug and the live edit objects. If you didn't see my previous video about building cheats and unlocking the debug and live edit objects, basically they are all the items that you see in the world around your Sims and the items that your Sims will use in gameplay that are normally not available to you in the build catalog. There are cheats to unlock this, but as soon as you have them unlocked, they just show up in this absolutely massive catalog that is not filtered, not sorted. All the items have the same name, namely debug, so you also cannot really search for them. Rosannatxt took the time and patience to actually sort all of these items in the right category. So if you have this mod installed, what you're gonna have to do is you go into your filter box and you're gonna have to turn on the mod and then reload your game or restart your game. Unfortunately, there is a little restart needed, but as soon as you have that and you just leave it on, you should be good. Once the mod is enabled, you will actually be able to enable and disable debug items and live edit items through the filter menu. So there is no more hassle of enabling those super long cheats. All you have to do is going in here and then you can select content and you can actually select debug, live edit, and custom content. I'll get to the custom content one in a little bit, but if you click debug and live edit, it will actually show up in your game straight away. So no more cheats. These are the cheats. And then once you hit enter, the items will actually be sorted in the most logical category. Which means that if you now go to the fridge, you will find all of the debug food because it makes sense that you would find food in the fridge. If you go into the landscaping category, you will now see all of the debug trees, you will see all of the debug rocks, etc. actually added in a sensible place for you to find. If you feel like the debug is overwhelming and you actually don't want to see it, you can literally just turn the filter off and it will disappear again. That is how easy it will become to use debug and live edit objects, which will, in my personal opinion, completely transform your building. Now, I also mentioned the CC filter. This is my second favorite reason for having this mod. I love CC. I have a lot of custom content in my game. If you don't know what CC it is, basically external items that you can download and then put them in your game for free. If you want to know more, I do have a whole beginner's guide to custom content listed on my channel, just like I have a full guide on how to install mods in The Sims. So if you're watching this video and you're interested and you're like, I actually don't know how to mod my game, I have tutorials for all of it on my channel. I'll make sure to link the most important playlist in the description box down below as well. But I do love my custom content. Although I build a lot for streams, I build a lot for YouTube videos where I don't want people to have to download custom content to download my builds. So I love to have it in my game, but I also love to be able to turn it off so I don't use it all the time. There's actually a filter in Better Build By that allows you to turn on and off your custom content without having to take it out of your game. If you don't have this mod, what you would have to do is you have to go into game folder and then you have to actually take your entire folder and put it somewhere else on your desktop and then load up the game, and it's a whole hassle. With this mod, you can just turn it on and off, and as you see, as soon as I turn it on, you will already see that I have a little bit of custom content here, but if I go into like items like the counters, you will see see a lot of items with this like little wrench icon next to it. Those are all custom content items that I have downloaded externally, added them to my game, and they're super nice to build with. But sometimes when I'm building for gameplay, I don't want to see them. I'll just turn it off and they will just disappear. The other way around, if you want to build only with custom content and you don't want to use actual in-game items, you can also hide maxes, which means that you don't see any of the maxes items. Anything that comes with the game will just be hidden. And then you can just turn on your CC and you will only see your custom content. Long story short, this mod adds a huge upgrade to the filter in the game because it actually allows you to filter on things that are important, at least for me. It also allows you to click on unlocked, which will basically just show you all the career unlockables, or it will show you all the purchased items, which are basically things that you got with packs, hiding all the things that are base game. Speaking of the filter menu, another great addition is that you can actually tick a box to ignore the career unlocks. So remember earlier when I said the unlocked content, you can literally just show that. Let's say that these are locked. Normally you would have to enter a cheat. If you want to know how, watch the previous episode. But if you want to unlock these to build, you can literally just click here and it unlocks. You don't have to enter the cheat anymore. So this mod takes a lot of hassle away in you trying to build and having to add like long cheats, having to search the catalog. This mod makes that entire experience so much better. You can even permanently enable the BB Move object sheets, the one that allows you to place objects really close together. And you can just tick it here, and then if you temporarily don't want it, you can take it off or take it on in between. Lastly, there is something called deletion protection in this filter menu, which if you click this, it's gonna give you a little warning because it will actually change the way that you're building in the game, which is important to know. You will still be able to delete items. However, you won't be able to accidentally delete something if you're deleting something else. So let's say that you're deleting this wall. Normally those two lights would disappear. Like I'm deleting the wall, the game would say the lights are attached to the wall, so we're gonna delete them. However, if you have this mod, you can just delete the wall and the items will stay. This is really nice if you try to do more advanced builds and you're struggling with items constantly getting deleted. I would not recommend having this on at all times simply because it does really limit what you can delete or not in the game as well. So use it at your own accord, but it is really nice that it's a feature and that it exists. Then something else that I really appreciate is that it allows you to expand the build menu. This is something that even a lot of people don't know that have this mod. I recently did it on stream and so many people were surprised that this is a thing. But if you press your 1 key or if you press your tilde key, which is basically the key next to your 1 key, it will expand the build by catalog, which especially if you start working with CC or if you start working with live edit and debug, this list can get really, really long. And sometimes just having the 2 rows feels unintuitive. You want to have a bit more overview. And with this key, you can simply expand it and collapse it again. Then the last feature that I really appreciate that I tried to show you guys during the interior decoration episode, but for some reason it was bugged out, is the ability to change lights in build mode. If you hold shift and you click on a light, it will bring up this menu and you can either say this light, this room, let's change everything in this room to pink. Now you can actually see the effect of the lights and how much it changes the way that your build looks. You can also obviously only change this light. Let's say we're gonna make this light warm again so that everything around it is pink, but this one is giving like a nice orangey glow. But something that is good to know is that this and changing it this way in build mode is only possible if you have the Better Build By mod. You do this by holding shift and clicking on a light and it will bring up this menu. Again, if you don't have this mod, you can only do this in live mode, which means that you constantly have to switch from build mode to your sim to like live mode to change the light and then change back. And it's, in my personal opinion, makes changing the lights a big hassle, which for me personally means that I'll just not do it. But by having it available to me in build mode, I use this feature quite a lot. You can also dim lights, so you can make them like less bright, or you can actually turn them fully off. That could be useful if you want to have a light that is basically just there for decoration. As far as I know, those are all the features of the Better Build By mod. However, there is one more feature that is only relevant if you are going to use the next mod on the list, which is Tool. I would say Tool is a mod that is a bit more for advanced builders, but I have been telling a lot of people on my stream recently that I do recommend that you get Tool if you enjoy building a lot, because you can even use it for small things that are not hard to do. The Tool mod is one of those really, really extensive mods that gives you full control over your building. To bring up Tool, you're going to press Shift T on your keyboard and it will bring you this menu. The Tool mod, or the abbreviation, stands for Take Objects Off Lot, because what you are basically allowed to do is when you select an item and you go over here, you can now place items outside of your lot boundary. That was what tool was originally designed to do. Normally, if you don't have tool enabled, let's quickly place the bed back. If you don't have tool enabled, you can get the bed, but you cannot place it over here. You can't place anything outside of your active lot area. With tool, you could now all of a sudden do that. And that also means that let's say that you're building this house and you would like for your kids in the house to have like a super cool play area, but you don't have enough space in the garden to add like this massive item. Let me get it quickly. Like, let's say you want to have the pirate ship, but it doesn't really fit in your backyard because you already have a pool. You can't place it back here. What you could do with tool is you can basically just get this item, place it on your lot, open the tool menu, click it, and then click over here and click it again, and now there is a playground equipment item for your kids. They can go there. It just became part of the world. There are people that use the tool mod to build entirely new worlds for The Sims. They basically just go into Willow Creek and completely give it an overhaul this way. I personally don't use the mod for this purpose that often because next to being able to build outside of the boundary of your lot, this mod has gotten really extensive over the years. If you bring up the menu, you can also see that you can move things by using coordinates. I personally have no idea how to do this, and I never use this part of the mod, but it exists, and I know there are people who have wonderful tutorials for the tool mod on YouTube, so feel free to check those out if you want to learn how to use the coordinates. But basically what I just did of moving things around the map, you can do that by using coordinates as well. There is something that is called elevate, which will allow you to lower and raise objects, but without using the 9 and the 0 key, but actually allowing you to really precisely move objects to the right height. You can rotate things, but you cannot just only rotate them like you would normally be able to do, like we are used to in The Sims, like this, but it allows you to rotate objects around any axis. So once you open the menu, you can change the axis, and I could do 90 and I could press OK. And as you can see, now the fridge is on its side. Wouldn't necessarily recommend this, but it is a possibility. And from here, you could actually start decorating. Some objects will no longer be functional if you do this to them, or the animation gets really wicked. So this is more interesting for people that are building for building rather than building for gameplay, but it is still good to note that it's possible. One of my favorite features, and the reason I would recommend this mod to a lot of people, is resizing items, specifically rugs. I remember that I showed you guys on the interior decoration episode that if you want this rug, this is the normal size. If you want it to be slightly bigger, it immediately sizes up to be pretty big, which is annoying because you want this, maybe you want to use this rug, but you just wanted to cover the area under the sofas. If you have tool, you can select it and then press scale. And then instead of doing 2 times or 3 times, you can just go, I want it 1.2 times. That's how much I want to size it up, and bam, there you go. And then you can just replace it, move it around, etc. I personally think the tool mod will greatly enhance your building in The Sims, but I also realize that for a lot of people who are just starting out with building, this mod might feel like a step too far. I can recommend getting this mod whenever you start to run into small annoyances with decoration, where you want to size something up a little bit, or where you feel like you want to get something for clutter in the right position, but it keeps floating and you just want to raise or lower it a little bit. Like I said, there are many great tutorials for this mod out there, and I personally use this mod a lot without understanding every single setting of it. So play around, be brave, get the mod if you want to, and let me know in the comments down below what your favorite simple tooltip is if you have been using this mod for a while. Then the next mod I'm actually going to tell you guys about like this, because there's not really anything that I can show in the game, but it's MC Command Center. MC Command Center actually has a section in the mod for anyone who doesn't know about MCC. It is a mod that allows you to change basically all the settings in the back end of the game. It gives you complete freedom over all the settings and default values in the game. This mod also allows you to permanently turn on cheats like testing cheats, BB move objects, ignore career reward unlocks, stuff like that. So if you don't want to get the Better Build Buy mod, but you do want to permanently enable certain cheats, I can recommend checking out MC Command Center. I do have a whole video that does a deep dive on where you can find all the settings, and I will link it in the description box down below. That video will also show you how you can access all of the settings of MCC, and MCC is also a very well-used mod, so a lot of people will know about it. This is more like a secondary option that I can recommend if you don't want to get the Better Build Buy mod. However, if you do have the Better Build Buy mod, MCC for building is not the most relevant because everything you can do in MCC, you can already do in Better Build Buy as well. Then I have another mod, which is absolutely not only relevant for building, but does come in super handy, and that is the UI cheats mod. If you have UI cheats, what it will allow you to do is you can cheat in the game without needing to enter cheats. It will basically allow you to click in the UI to change certain things. Something that I like to do is the money cheat. So if you right click on your money, you will be able to set simoleons, add galactic credits, bits, pieces, etc. And you can either set it or add it, which makes it just a whole heap easier to control your money in the game. Another really nice feature of this mod is being able to change the seasons or the time of day. So if you want to change the lighting, let's say you've made a beautiful build and you want to take some good screenshots. As you can see right now, the lighting is nicely coming from the front. So this would be a perfect time of day to take screenshots. However, sometimes you're playing your game and it's 8 a.m. in the morning and the light will look terrible. You can just right click on the time and you can change the time. You can right click on the weather and you can actually change the weather to make sure that you have different weather. Let's say it's like really rainy and your build looks terrible and you want to make sure that it's sunny. You can just click here and then take some nice screenshots. So I feel like the UI cheats mod doesn't directly help you in building, but it does help you a lot in taking nice screenshots, increasing your money, sometimes changing the season. If you want to see what your landscaping looks like in fall, you can actually click on the season icon and click fall, and bam, there you go. Now it's fall in your game. You can take some nice fall screenshots and you can see what your landscaping looks like. I feel like things like this are very nice, especially if you get a little bit more advanced and you want to start sharing your builds on social media, etc. And then lastly, I promised you guys to talk about a mod that allows you to do the camera rotation while being on the Sims 4 camera. I know a lot of people play on the Sims 3 camera and they don't care about this, so that's why I also saved it for last, but I personally love this feature. So if you are playing on the Sims 4 camera, my main reason for using it is because you can click and drag. If you've missed my episode of the Builder Bootcamp on the camera modes, feel free to check that out. It is linked in the whole playlist. But if you are on the Sims 4 camera, this is my main feature that for me personally allows me to move around the world quickly. It allows me to quickly find my Sims. It allows me in building to quickly build. However, the one thing I really desperately miss from the Sims 3 camera is being able to do custom angles, because sometimes you want to see things a little bit more from your Sims eye level. Or when you're building, sometimes you just want to like freely rotate to see what something will look like from all sides. There is a mod which is very simple. You just drop it in your mods folder, and from that point onwards, you will be able to control the axis of your Sims camera with your right mouse button. Something that I also really hate in the Sims 3 camera is that controlling the axis happens with your scroll wheel. I personally think the scroll wheel is annoying to click because it will accidentally let me scroll and it's just not as comfortable. I prefer to be able to do this with my right mouse button. So if you're interested in downloading this mod, it is linked on my website down below. I have all of the mods that I recommended in this episode bundled in the mods for builders tab on my website, which if you go to my website, which is also again linked in the description box, you will be able to go here and then go to my Sims mods and custom content page. Over here, you will find my little curated section of must-have mods, but over here you can also go mods per category. And then there's a category at the top called Builder Mods, and this has MC Command Center, Better Build Buy, Tool, UI Cheats, and the camera rotation. I will also make sure to make the mods per video and actually add a little tab here at the top that will also include this video specifically for the Builders Bootcamp, so you can also filter over here to get all these mods. And with those final recommendations, it concludes the series of the Builders Bootcamp 2025. Let me know in the comments down below if you've watched the entire series, what your favorite episode was, and what is the most valuable that you took away from this series. I hope that you learned something new. I hope that you will now enjoy building in The Sims a little bit more, and I was very happy that I got to be your teacher along the way. If any of these episodes were useful to you, please feel free to toss them a cheeky like, comment for engagement, and of course, feel free to check out my channel because I make videos about anything and everything The Sims. And if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone!